It is a custom in the African tradition to ask elders for permission to speak. Thank you. To our ancestors whose shoulders we stand on, to our elders whose shadows we walk in, I greet you, my dear brothers and sisters and friends, in the language of one of the greatest civilizations on this planet. It gave the world the basic disciplines of knowledge of science, math, architecture, music, writing, law, religion, you name it, we did it. The Greeks called it Egypt, but they called themselves Kemet, and Kemet means land of the blacks. I greet you all in the Kemetic language, the word of peace, Hotep. It is always an honor and a privilege to pour libation because we truly do stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, men and women who have paved the way, who have sacrificed much. We're going to use water because water has no enemies. Water is the great cleanser, the great purifier. Everything on this planet that lives, it needs water. We'll pour water into the earth to invoke the spirits of our ancestors, and we'll say the word Ashe, which simply means so be it. So we pour this libation to God for all that God has done and for all that God will do. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to Mother Africa, birthplace of all humanity, everyone who has lived, everyone who is living, everyone who will live in the future. We have a common ancestral root in Africa. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to the classical civilizations of Africa. I mentioned Kemet because Kemet was the height, the apex, the zenith of African high culture. Many people came from far and wide to sit at the feet of African people to learn those basic disciplines of knowledge. But there were other great civilizations, Timeri, Punt, and Nubia. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to contemporary civilizations of Africa, of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Benin, Great Zimbabwe. Civilizations that were flourishing even while Europe was going into a dark age in medieval time. So we pour this libation to those contemporary civilizations, the great University of Sankore and Timbuktu. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to the brothers and sisters, our people who suffered what is called the Ma'afa or Infakani or the Holocaust of our enslavement, uprooted out of Africa, laying a carpet along the Atlantic Ocean. And now we're in the Western Hemisphere, North America, Central America, South America, and throughout the diaspora. We pour this libation because even though we do not know their names, but we know of their tremendous sacrifice and their suffering. So we pour this libation to those brothers and sisters who suffered the enslavement of our people. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to those brothers and sisters who fought against enslavement. There's over 400 recorded revolts of our people fighting because we were not slaves. A slave is somebody or something that submits its will to a master. We fought. We fought on the continent, we fought in the Middle Passage, and we fought in this hemisphere. And we continue to fight today. So we pour this libation to Nat Turner and Gabriel Prosser and Denmark Vesey and Singbe Pia. We pour this libation to Harriet Tubman, who 19 times she went from the South to the North, freeing over 300 of our people. She said, I could have freed 300 more if they understood that they were enslaved. Using a gun, not for her protection, but using a gun because she said, I know if you don't run, you're going to tell. A bounty on her head that would be equivalent to $1 million today. So we pour this libation in her honor, and Sojourner Truth, and Mary McLeod Bethune, and all the other ones who fought against the enslavement, mental and physical, of our people. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to those unborn, those young men and women who will once again lead us back on the stage of human history as a free and proud and productive people. We say Ashe. We pour this libation to the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood, made and imbibed in us, not just at this moment or for a season, but forever, as we continue to work together to strengthen our community, to strengthen our families, the relationships that men and women must have to build good communities and good family life. We pour this libation to that spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. Brothers and sisters, let us all say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Shimhotep means go in peace. Asante Sana means thank you.
How do we, the way to get out of slavery, of course, is to unity. So I asked them before you guys got here, what does that look like in today's time in the Black community, that unity? How can we become more unified? What are some of the working pieces that we need to get together to be more unified?
Supporting Black business. That's so important. Like, people don't understand how important supporting Black business is, because y'all, okay, we go to Chick-fil-A, we might say like, oh, y'all, let's go out to eat, so we go to Applebee's. Why not go to one of the local Black business, like local Black restaurants? That's what, like I told y'all, I think I've said this before, but like me, my mom, and my sisters, we started to go to, like Saks and Best Wings and all those places instead of going to Connors and stuff like that and supporting them. We still support our own people. So I feel like that's very important.
I agree. Anybody else? What other ways?
I agree that that's important as well. But I think even before that, the first step, the preliminary step, I should say, should be we got to support each other.
Right.
If we ain't support each other, we ain't support no business. We got to support each other individually, and we don't do that.
We don't.
It's too busy. We're too busy trying to climb to the top of the barrel and scratching our way and pulling everybody else down.
Right.
So we can say, I'm the Black person that made it.
Right.
So if we can't support each other as individuals, it's no way in hell that we're going to be able to support Black businesses with people that's trying to do something positive within the community. So I think back then they supported each other. They stood together more. United we stand. Divided we fall. It's the reason for that statement.
A house divided cannot stand.
That's why I feel like self-love is important. Because if we want to love ourselves, then we want to love each other. And that's why it's so important to you understand, like, being Black is such a beautiful and powerful.
Yes, we definitely lack self-awareness. And we know we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to think that we're inferior. Even when we're not consciously thinking it, our actions, the way we go about life, the things that we think that we can achieve. I know me, for one, I have always had a struggle with lack. Because, I've always said, I come from lack. So a lot of times it's hard for me to really see myself past a certain point. And that's really just such a smaller scale of what they've done to us mentally as a people. And we do lack that self-awareness. Just like y'all saw Lark Voorhees talking about how she don't consider herself Black. We saw that.
Like Raven.
Yeah, like Raven.
Everybody, that's so Raven. That's what I call everybody who say that. That's so Raven.
So
I think understanding each person as an individual, point of views, and respecting each other where they are, where we are. Right, because your point of view is different from my point of view doesn't make either one less important.
Yes. Right.
So I think understanding each other and respecting each other as a whole will increase the unity. Just the pure understanding of each other.
Welcome to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. I am your co-host, Ptosha, with a P, Davis, and we have our host here. If you all knew that he went through planes, trains, and automobiles to get back here to be in the studio.
Almost didn't make it.
But he's here. He had some favor and some covering, keeping him safe on the roads. When I told him it was snowing, he was like, what?
I know, it was funny.
So he is here.
Yeah, I'm here, Ptosha.
I'm not gonna say live in color, but
Yeah.
he's here.
Yeah, I'm dragging today. Good afternoon, everyone.
If you'd like to join the conversation, you can call us at 414-444-5250.
I wonder where those. It sound like young people. They're talking about
The clip?
What do you, Keon? Where was that clip from?
That was him sitting around filming.
Oh, okay. Because I really love that kind of conversation.
Milwaukee. Those were.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure it sounds like teenagers.
Well, they were talking about Chick-fil-A. That's what. So it has to be somewhere where there's a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, there's none in Milwaukee.
Brookville.
Oh, Brookville. Okay.
But those weren't Brookville kids.
Right. So, we trying to stereotype other kids?
Nope, I'm just keeping it real.
You keep it real. Okay. I remember Dave Chappelle says it was just keeping it real goes wrong.
I just the other day watched you binge watch TV.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I watched all the seasons of Dave Chappelle.
Is
and can I tell you
insane?
that I just sat, literally in the bed,
it's
dying.
the man's insane. He's
laughing.
brilliant.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
And just sat there, and then to see his some commentary, some interviews he did,
right?
Where he explains how
what
the
happened
stuff
to him,
right? How the stuff that he was doing began to impact him.
Well, because they wanted him to be a buffoon,
right?
And they wanted him, just go
right
in that direction,
right. And he was like,
ratchet. Was it
ratchetness?
Yeah, ratchetness.
But you won't ask for no more ratchetness to be sent to you, will you?
Yeah, I do. Keep it coming.
He sleep. He don't even know what he's saying.
Yeah. No, that is some insane stuff.
We have a caller holding, Rahim.
Okay.
Caller, thank you. You have a question or a comment?
Yeah, thank you. I have a comment. I'm glad you made it in, brother, too. I wanted to say, you're probably about the most world-renowned or world-traveled or world-exposed to host that we have on and exposures to the industry. Have you ever thought about managing any acts or anything like that? Do you get into that?
No.
He do good to manage his calendar.
Not even close. One of the things I've been close to it for a long time, and I've been fortunate to just have most of the entertainers that I've come across who I've met through working with Kenny Gamble, and they all flock to him some kind of way. I've been fortunate just to develop just personal relationships, no professional ones, because that's something you definitely. I don't think I could even handle the professional side.
But you did do a little bit of that when you guys had the Tropicana, correct?
Oh yeah. We had the. I didn't get into the day-to-day. The acts.
Of the acts.
No. What I did though is I negotiated a deal for a club act, which is Bill Jolly. Bill Jolly was the manager for Teddy Pendergrass, the musical manager for Teddy Pendergrass for years. But he did everybody. Patti LaBelle, he did quite a few. So, but long and short of it, no, not even close. And then the other thing is, everybody I like is 60 years and older. Hey, look, I'm still stuck on the 70s. I mean, I very rarely enter into anything new. Maybe if I did 100 songs, I might do one or two that's current.
You have a little mix in there. You have some Joe.
Yeah.
Or a little.
I like Joe. I'll have some 2000, maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Then
some
I have
R&B.
maybe one or two from the 90s.
Right.
Maybe
but
one
then
or
you're
two
going to go
from
way back.
one or two
Delphonics.
80s. And then I'll have
Starlights.
80 from the 70s and the 60s. So I'm still stuck in
Tony
in
and
that
I know
period.
because we've been in the car with him driving.
That's my question. What if we get in your car and we push your playlist? What is your favorite? What is
my favorite is Stevie Wonder is my favorite, and also one of my favorite people. I just love Stevie Wonder. I love everything he represents. I also like obviously I like all of the groups.
Anything
of
with the
70s,
sound of Philly.
You sound, especially the ballads, all the ballads.
Teddy Pendergrass, the OJs,
the Stylistics, the Delphonics. I listen to, sometimes I'll go on binges.
Spinners.
I'll go on binges of just the Spinners or whatever. So I like all of the ballads. I was getting ready to say I'm a lover, not a fighter.
He's a romantic
right.
at heart.
I'm really a romantic at heart, and I really love love songs, and they were the best love songs. But that's really where I'm stuck at. I'm really stuck on the 70s and a little bit of the 80s.
But thank you. Please do not call in with any other suggestions of things he should take on, because that would mean I would have to take them on. But we do appreciate your call. So, Rahim, we were busy last week. Well, one of us was busy last week. This week. It wasn't even last week. It was this week.
I know. You're delirious.
I know.
No, it was a very exciting time. The election was very important time. A lot of stuff is going on. We still got a lot going on because now it's the follow-up.
Yes. Now the work begins.
Right. Getting people in office is one thing. Holding them accountable is another. We did make some success and have some success with both the mayor and the county exec talking about a framework for an economic agenda for the African American community. I was really excited about that. We've had a number of different discussions with a number of different older people. How do you say men and women?
Well, now we have 2 women on the Common Council.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to meeting the other.
And
yes.
she's my alderwoman now.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
I'm very excited. She inboxed me this morning.
Oh, great!
About
great,
a meeting. So
great.
she has hit the ground running. She's ready to go to work, and obviously Alderwoman Malele Cogs retained her seat. Also, we have a couple of new people on the council. Chevy Johnson is for the 2nd district. That was Alderman Joe Davis's district. And then we have Khalif Rainey, who I believe it's the 7th district, if I'm not mistaken. And that used to be Alderman Willie Wade's district. And then, of course, my absolute favorite. I love all you guys, but I am partial to Alderman Ashanti Hamilton and the fabulous 1st district. And he also retained his seat. And there's been some discussion, and I'm only repeating what I've read and heard, that, with the demographic makeup now of the Common Council, because now we have not only another woman, but another African American on the council, that it's a little bit more representative of the demographics of the city. And that we also should have someone in leadership of the council, which would be the presidency of the council, be someone of color. So we will see what happens in the next few
like
weeks.
how we use the word "be someone of color."
Well, okay, you want me to say what I really feel? I'm trying to be politically correct.
Yeah, well,
so it should be somebody black that's on the Common Council, because we do not have a black mayor, so we need a black president of the Common Council.
Donald Trump say, I'm not going to be politically correct. We need a black man or black woman,
right, to be head of the Common Council, because that needs to be somebody that can advocate on behalf of the people.
I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, I'm not sure you're not either, but I understand what you're doing.
Right.
You're being politically correct.
So, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about what's coming up.
We got a lot of work to do. I mean, there are a number of different issues that we got to begin to focus on, and I think that the theme that began this conversation or the show today was unity, and it's really, really important to really begin to lay out what that looks like.
Right.
Because most people, when you ask, well, what should we be doing, you have a whole litany of responses, but no one knows how to get it going.
Right. What's the first step? What do you do?
And so one of the things we have to unpack is the line that people want to put us in, that unity exists after you go through this line.
Right.
Or that line.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Or that line, or you got to be a part of this group.
Right.
Or part of that group.
Or you got to believe this.
Or you got to believe this, or you got to believe that. And then once you go through that line,
Then it's another.
unity is on the
other
on the other side of that. Well, if that's the case, that's why one of the reasons why we're not going to have unity. We have to have unity of purpose and of focus, and we also have to have what I call functional unity. And functional unity is that we all understand that unless we work together, and what does that look like?
Right.
We need to describe that.
And people need to see it, not just
well,
describe it.
but we gotta build it.
Right.
We have to build it, and we have to build it like from scratch.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't exist.
Right.
But here's some of the components of it. Okay. Here's some of the components that it must look like. One, it has to be completely diverse, meaning that any and all group. If you're working on behalf of our community, you have a seat at the table. We got to get a cross section and diverse section of constituents. We have to have older, younger, and in between. We have to have male and female. We have to have our youth. We have to have our grassroots people. We have to have our scholarly people. We have to have our business community. We have to have our political community.
We have to have our grassroots.
Right. We had to have them all with a seat at the table. So that right there is the framework for what it would look like, what that table looks like. Now that's a big table. It depends on how you view it, but let's say that it's indicative of 35, 40 people. It's a start.
Right.
Because what happens is, and the religious community as well, missed them, big portion, but not one of those sectors or segments is leading.
No,
They
it's
all
shared.
They all are sharing what we call collective leadership. So that's the framework that we have to build in order for us to and manifest that kind of leadership, that kind of unity. Now, what we're doing and what we've been doing, and one of the callers asked a couple of shows ago, well, what are you doing, Rahim, about it? Well, for the most part, we've been sharing this idea and discussing this approach with all of these different sectors and segments of our community.
Right. Health, education, religious, everybody.
You name them. If they're out there trying to help our community, they have what I call leader. They are a leader in our community, meaning that they're on point with trying to solve some of the issues that face our communities.
Exactly.
Our problem and our challenge is that they alone can't do it.
No organization or
individual
movement can do
No.
Can
So
do it alone.
we have to create unity of leadership first before we can create the unity of the people. Because I think about it all the time, and I'm saying, some people say, we just need to go get the people. Well, let's say we got 250,000 black people in Milwaukee. We get 50,000 of them to go to a stadium or something tomorrow, right?
What do
we do with them? What do we do? How do we mobilize them?
Right. And it can't be around any one issue.
Now, by the way, there are ways we can mobilize them. We just come through that voting season.
Exactly.
So that's one way. Another way we can mobilize them is I heard the young woman said, the girl said, we got to support black businesses. That's another way we can mobilize.
I had a good suggestion. Wanda Montgomery said we need to have a black lobby day at the Capitol. Not just here, but at every Capitol. To tell people on this day, all black people go to wherever and lobby.
You messing my flow
I'm
up.
sorry.
You messing my flow up.
But that was a good idea.
I was dropping something.
You was dropping science?
And then she just cold-blooded messing my flow up.
Now you can't remember?
Kinda. Where was I at?
Well,
No.
Okay.
I know what I was saying. I was saying that if you got the 50,000 people, what you could do. So there are things for
voting,
them to do.
Right, you said they can vote.
Support a black business. support a cultural organization,
Okay.
or take them to, what we're doing right now with the kind of our education and culture committee. We're creating what we call edutainment.
Yes.
Education about our history that's a little bit more creative and fun for today.
Right, because everybody doesn't want to sit in.
No,
and
they
just
don't
be
want to. They don't want to be
preached at or
taught.
taught.
No, they want to see a play,
Right,
and learn.
but that's still
see a
cultural.
movie and learn. But the point I'm making is that if you got the masses of the people, there's some things they're going to do, but it's not going to change the dynamics that we're focused on. It's not going to change the mass incarceration of black men. Those are systemic issues and structural issues. It's not going to challenge the financial disparities that we have in our community. Sure, we can grow our businesses and we can do certain things, but at some point we're going to have to face the financial community head on.
Right.
It's not going to change some of the segregated housing situations we find
things
ourselves.
are structural things that you just can't.
That
things have layers,
it's
like an onion.
Exactly. It's not going to change these massive things. So they're a role for the masses, but the leaders have to come together. The people who are out here doing the work have to see themselves as part of a group.
Right.
And this is the group
of a larger group.
A larger group, and this is the group we're trying to create. So most of the work that I've been doing, and Ptosha's been doing, and others have been doing for the last, unfortunately, last couple years.
We're going into it'll be 3 years in August.
Well, it's taking that kind of work,
and it has to. It's not an overnight thing.
Well, because again, it's coming from a mindset that does not exist. So now, and some say it's like herding cats. Well, in reality, it is like herding cats, because every time we get 5 in our hand,
you got to go back.
3 jump out. But it's okay. It's okay. At some point, we're going to end up with
5.
the necessary critical mass, and you're going to see what we've been talking about all along. But again, we're not going to jump over the fact that we need leadership. A body has a head. A body is not led by the arms or the feet. Or the legs. It's moved and run and guided and instructed by the head. And we need a head on our body, and the body of the black community needs leadership, and it needs functional leadership, functional unity.
Right, we're going to take this call, and when we come back, I'm going to read this little piece on functional unity. If I was not mistaken, I would have thought you had written it. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I'm enjoying the conversation so far, and one of the things, as a leader in the community and been on the ground for 7 years, trying to bring order and peace in this city, one of the things that hurt us is we have a lot of great organizations, and I commend them for doing great work, but nobody wants to come together. For instance, when we go to meetings, I don't mind being led, but at the same time, people argue over the silliest things like, well, who gonna lead it? Who organization name gonna be on the flyer? Who gonna talk when the media show up? And I think there's this sense of heroism, if that's a word. If it ain't, it is now. But of people that think I gotta be the hero, and what they don't understand is we don't have to give up our power. We bring our power together, and we have more power. And I can tell you, I'm very frustrated. I reached out to many leaders and organizations, and it's like, no, I don't want to do what you're doing because I got to build my thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's the nonprofit that's kind of hurting it, because people think I got to tear your nonprofit down in order to make mine look good to continue to get funded. And that's what's hurting us as a people, and as a leader that's humble enough to get things done. It hurts. And every day when I get up, I often think what would have happened if Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois would have put their egos in check, where we would be as a people. You know what I mean? We would be further along. But I'm going to hang up and listen, and y'all keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. And you're correct. I think two things. One is that we've inherited a legacy that goes back to our history in this country, a legacy of not working together. And so that's something that we've been pretty much kind of drilled in our DNA, which
Right,
we gotta remove. And the only way you're gonna remove it by doing. And you're right. There are some times when we get together, there are some silly things that take place, but for the most part, I think most people now in 2016 have realized that, have come to a conclusion. If the right messenger is presenting the message, and the right messenger is, I'm in some respects I could be the right messenger because I don't have any history here in Milwaukee, and so I could sometimes say things that
people will receive where they wouldn't receive from someone else because
who's
they
been there.
have
They got some history
with
here.
them. You know they
right. So I'm able to walk in different areas, not knowing that I have no connection to any of it, and so the truth might be a little bit more receivable.
Swallow from you.
Right. So and the truth is that we need each other, no matter what. So one of the things we can do is overcome is get to the facts, have a real structured meeting, and sometimes that's difficult, but we have a structured meeting. And I find that when bringing black people together, one of the things that we must compensate for is the pain that's within us.
the trauma.
And what you see in many cases is a therapeutic thing that's taking place when we do come together. You got to know how to now use that therapy and then put it within your agenda so you can get some movement and traction, because one of the worst things can happen, you go to a meeting and nothing gets done.
Right.
And people get mad, and next thing you know,
say,
yeah, I know. I almost, yeah, you see me, right? And people get mad and upset, and next thing you know, they says, "Well, we didn't solve the world in that meeting. I ain't going back.
Quit. I ain't going back."
So we got to have some kind of commitment, and I think there are enough people. Again, remember, we don't need everybody. We just need a critical mass. Remember, your brain. They said 14% or something of your brain.
14%. It's all we use.
Is all we
just
use.
Imagine if we use like 50%.
No, we'd probably be flying mentally. We probably physically flying with
you was gonna fly from Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. But we probably have the science behind that, so we don't need 100% of us. Just a critical mass of people to come together to do the work that has to be done.
We're going to take a break and pay some bills. When we come back, we're going to just continue this discussion on unity, and I think we have a clip that Keon has prepared for us. You're listening to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. That was our host, Rahim Islam, speaking at the General Assembly meeting in 2014 in Philadelphia for Philadelphia Community of Leaders.
Yeah, that don't sound good. I mean, that really...
That's powerful. People need to know your story and need to know why you do the work you do, and that you haven't always been this guy in the fly suit. Well, not really always. We just saw a picture of you young, but they need to know your story and what fuels you. Because that a lot of time isn't the Rahim that they see or read about.
Well, I think I do have a real serious soft place for children, and children that are in really bad situations that have no choice of their own. In fact, I'm writing something down, and I was writing. And I was writing about learned racism, and so or learned hopelessness. We all learn from our parents or from those who come before us,
right?
And they teach us. And so, unfortunately, we have too many children that are in a very, very hostile environment where they have to make decisions that's just not fair. And so, and I know about. I know about it just in kind of in retrospect. I just wait a minute. I don't even know how do I make it through all of that.
And so when you think of the children today, they're just surviving.
Oh,
they're not, if
like you. If that's what it was, I mean, it's just no way in the world that
They're just trying to
some of the
live.
things they see, they should be exposed to. And so the question is that, well, what do we do about it? And what I've seen is that we just need people keep talking about we should do this and we should do that, we should do this, but there's no real script on how to get it done. So we've come up with a way that, by the way, is not going to happen overnight.
Right.
But with some level of fidelity, I think the people are gravitating. And the other thing is that we've been fortunate. We've been very fortunate in having a person like Kenny Gamble, who has committed, his resources, his time,
His
reputation, and it's been pristine. By the way, pristine, and he put it all on the line for. So we've been using that. We use that to build Universal, and we still are growing Universal companies, but we've now began to use that credibility to help the community, not just through Universal, but just to bring the community together
as an organizing,
as an organizing, and to do more than what Universal can do by itself.
Right? Because Universal cannot take this on by itself.
No, it's impossible.
I want to read. You were talking about functional unity before we went to the break. Functional unity is that level and quality of social organization and structure that naturally aids us as Black people in building and maintaining power to control the economic, political, and cultural life of our communities. Further, functional unity is that necessary system and infrastructure through which we and all other social groups promote and protect our vital interest. Without functional unity, we have no option other than serving the interest of others. To state it in another way, with any social group, there are only two options: self-rule or subjugation.
This is true. There's no question. In fact, the clip you showed earlier,
the dinner clip.
The dinner clip. What is that from?
That's from Slimberg, Iceberg Slim's book and then movie Trick Baby.
Phenomenal piece. So you're right. I mean, so you either have it or you don't.
You either putting the menu together or you
on the menu. Right.
I saw something today. You can fake it to the table, but eventually you got to learn how to eat.
Right. So so what we need is we need an infrastructure who can defend, but also defend is just one aspect of it. We need an infrastructure who's going to advance.
Right.
Now, defend is very important because we live in a hostile environment.
But that's being reactive. We need to at some point.
Well, it's a must.
Right.
If somebody's constantly beating you in your head,
you got to defend yourself.
You got to defend yourself. But but who's defending the Black community? Or who is? We might have quite a few people who are trying to defend them, but they're not doing a good job.
In silos.
Right, because they just don't have the capacity to defend against what's coming against us.
Right.
So we still have to defend, but we also have to begin. This is why it's going to require organization and infrastructure to begin to advance our community.
So it's different than just treading and holding, keeping your head above water. You got to, at some point,
you got to go on the offense.
Forward, right.
You got to go. You got to go on the offense. It's a different strategy than when you're defending. When you're defending something, you're still allowing the oppressor to exercise his energy. You're trying to slow down the impact,
right,
or negate the impact, but still doesn't allow you to advance.
Right. You just holding.
Right. So you just keep it from being harmed.
Right. Or pushed further back.
Right. But our community has to go forward. In addition to some of these alarming things, I was in a meeting early today, and we were talking about the economics, and we were talking about, there's some strategies in play that deals with some of the demand strategies on everything except the small business one. We still need entrepreneurs who are going to take the risk and prepared to, not because somebody's offering them something, but is prepared to make it no matter what. Who's going to put something on the line? And you can't legislate that. You can't say that's a program. That person got to bring it. Those are the kind of people we're going to have to figure out where they are in our community, get them together, begin to work with them so that we can advance some of the concepts of commercial corridors. How long have we been talking about this?
Yeah, commercial corridor has been on the table. That's like Bronzeville. I mean,
how long? I mean,
it's time to start
guess what?
forward.
It's you can't do it. You can't manufacture these people. These people got to be real.
Right.
And so we got major issues and major challenges. We got structural issues and structural challenges that's going to require the highest level of information, knowledge about these systems and the tools and solutions that are possible that we could potentially use. You just can't ask somebody off the street about, the financial community, the financial world, or even, I don't know much about the health world except what I do personally.
For you, right.
But
doctors
know the ins and outs.
And outside of doctors are people who are in
and
that
administrative,
industry,
right? The administrative people that know the ins and outs about the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies, how hospital works. You just can't expect me to know that stuff. But I know one thing: we are at a disadvantage. So we got to bring these people who have this content. And especially to bring them together to begin working together, and that's where we have to do. And so that's our challenge for today, and that's where we're going to have to defeat and win over the next couple of years to even make, to deal with the issue of the thing that really saddens me is, when I heard that speech, that really, really saddened me.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
I didn't mean to bring you down.
Well, I didn't bring me. That just made me. It is why I'm doing it.
Right. It's what fuels.
Right. It
brings it back full
circle. It just saddens me though, because how many children are we losing?
Right. Who aren't able to make it
out.
No,
they're not. How many children are we losing? I mean, we're just losing a ton of children every day.
That could be the next.
I mean, because they are in environments that are just hostile. That's not loving. That's not kind. It's not warm. It's not embracing. So we're losing. So that really troubles me. So that's the part that kind of fueled me.
We are going to take a break and pay some bills. When we come back, I'm going to share a little bit of the most recent installment of Message to the Community by Rahim Islam. It's all about functional unity. It's about organizing. You're listening to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. I am your co-host, Ptosha, with a P, Davis. And we have in the studio with us our host, Rahim Islam. He looks good. He's been up and down the road, planes, cars, everything, just this week. But he made it here. In spite of all of that, I'm going to share a little bit of his most recent article. It's all about functional unity. Brothers and sisters, we have work to do, and no one will do it for us. If we are to achieve what we want, we have to earn it. Earning it requires taking one step at a time. There are no shortcuts. We cannot erase our reality of being nearly 400 years behind economically, and we are not going to get out of this mess overnight. We cannot skip through the process. We will have to go through the pain of the struggle. This is our learning curve. Earning it will require that we do something we have never been able to master, and that is working together through functional unity. In response to H. Rap Brown's comment, if America doesn't come around, we're going to burn it down, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. responded with, our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn. If we are to make Dr. King's statement a reality, we need to organize because the issues we face today are surprisingly greater in many respects than those in 1967 when he made this statement. We must have functional unity. The Black community currently dominates in every negative demographic: poverty, incarceration, health, academic achievement, underemployment, unemployment, etc., while being almost invisible in every positive demographic: jobs and business creation, wealth, income, business growth, etc., both representing extreme levels of disparities. For example, disparities generally allow a margin of a 2 to 3% percentage points, but the African American community is experiencing 10 to 30 percentage point differentials, where unemployment could be 7% nationally. With African American men between the ages of 18 to 35, unemployment could be as high as 50%. This is an alarming disparity and creates major consequences to the fabric of both family and community life for the entire Black community. These types of disparities will require a new and different approach, unlike anything we have seen to date. In addition, most of these disparities will only worsen over the next 15 to 20 years because the pipeline is primed at the start of the continuum, coupled with the reality that Black community has no stated, viable, and sustained plan of action, or action of defense. If working together, we must ask ourselves if our individual efforts really change these issues and move the needle. If you are honest, your answer must be no. Then what do we do?
Well, that's the $64,000
question.
I think the first thing that we're attempting to do is, it's like what Kenny used to tell me all the time with in the music. One of the first things he does when he goes into the studio, he's to get everybody to tune up.
Oh, they got to tune.
Tune up. So we got to tune up.
So we're not tuned up here.
No, we're in the process of just tuning up, getting everybody on the same page, thinking the same way. So part of the message is to get this message out. So we're gonna, cut it in half today.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna get any argument from me because I've heard myself too much this week.
No, I've heard you. You did a great job this week, holding the fort down. Again, as always, Keon, thank you so much for your commitment and your contributions to the show. People don't know, but you make a lot of contributions to the show.
Behind the scenes, he
makes
it
no
happen.
question. And Tony as well. Tony does a big job of helping to promote this whole concept, and so we want to thank Tony. And everybody at WNOV, we want to thank them for all of their work. And on Ptosha, you did a great job this week holding things down. You got another job if you ever wanted to seek another job. You got another job, sister. And last but not least, thank Mr. Jones for all he does for our community. I tell you, WNOV and the work of the courier and his work, boy, you can see really came through like crazy. This week, and you've seen the efforts and
wow,
the
people
results
don't
of the
see.
work.
Yeah, people don't see all the work and the meetings and the everything that goes on behind the scenes. They see the finished product or they see what it is that we put out front, but
no, they don't see. And that's the thing that we're attempting to do right now is the things you don't see. You don't see when the seed is growing under the earth. All you see is when it sprouts out through the ground. But there was a lot of work to be done to get that seed from that point.
A lot of fertilizer.
Yeah, there's a lot. but it got to be
water.
done in right soil.
Mm-hmm.
So the environment has to be right. It has to be tended to. That means that work has to be done, and the process has to be there. Someone has to know. In the seed, in the earth, the DNA is in there. We have to recreate the DNA for the growth that we're looking for in our community. So thank you, everyone. Stay tuned. And thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, WNOV. and everybody involved with WNOV, and thank the community of Milwaukee. We're making progress, incremental. It's very slow, but it's sure.
So thank you for tuning in today. We are going to sign off a little bit early today, but we will be back on Monday. Same time, same station. You've been listening to Universally Speaking with Rahim Islam on 860 AM, WNOV, The Voice.